What's going on, guys? Sergeant Galaxy back again, aka Sergeant Galaxia, and today we are going to be having kind of like a small little discussion called Are You Wasting Your End Phase? And as you can see, I have a few cards listed here that we can kind of talk about because it's pretty apparent now in the game more than ever due to a lot of major cards being banned and scenarios popping up all over the place. End phase is becoming a lot more apparent than it used to be. Meaning, there are a lot of cards now that activate you can only activate the card once per turn. You can only do this once per turn. You can only do that once per turn. Um, and utilizing your end phases, or your opponent's end phases, excuse me, basically allows you to activate these cards twice in a row, um, which is absolutely ridiculous. Just to run over a few cards, because I'm kind of messing around with the maiden with the blue eyes, the one that special summons blue eyes like absolutely ridiculously crazy. And one of the cards that I use in this deck, obviously, is Silver's Cry. And the effect reads, if you can't read it, it says, target one dragon type normal monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target. You can only activate one Silver's Cry per turn. Now, if you, say for example, you go into your blue eyes, all that bullshit, somehow it gets sent to the grave, you pitch it there for like a Phoenix Wing, or something like that. You set this card. You let your opponent do stuff. If they MST it, you activate it, obviously. But you want to wait. If they don't do anything, you take the damage. You activate this in their end phase. Special summon your blue eyes. Then your draw phase. And what happens if you either have another one or you draw another Silver's Fang or a Silver's Cry? You basically just utilized two special summons to have two blue eyes on the field with little cost of the once per turn rule. Because you did it in your opponent's end phase, which is very hard to get around card effects like that unless they have set like Dark Bribes and stuff like that. It's very hard to get to counter these cards in your end phases, which is very important to realize. So you're basically getting two blue eyes at the same time because you're going around the once per turn rule. Another card that's the same way is Spellbook of Fate. A lot of you guys know what it does. It does the exact same thing. As cost-wise, with all the spell books, you can only activate it once per turn. Yeah, there it is. I couldn't find the once per turn rule. It's the same thing. If, for example, if you have your blue boy set, you could either banish something if you wish. You can either put blue boy face down. You could in their end phase. I'm talking about. So if they don't have any reactions or anything like that. But a good thing with like something like this, which is a little bit more apparent, is if you have, say, Eternity in hand, you activate your Fate in their end phase, banish something. Your draw phase comes, Eternity, get your Fate back again. And if you have enough resources, you can just simply activate the Fate yet again. But it's still considered as your once per turn. So you're basically abusing the end phase to your advantage going into your draw phase with already using these cards at the last possible second up until it gets to your turn. And this is where you should be obviously end phasing a lot of things. A lot of people know that if you set something in your end phase and if someone activates like a Mystical Space Typhoon, a Dust Tornado, Twister, one of those back row removal cards, you can't chain that card because you set that turn. And when people activate that in the end phase, it's kind of like a Night Beam, which is really good. And you can use a lot of things within. You can manipulate your opponent's end phases to your advantage. And these are just things that you need to be aware of as a duelist, because you want to make sure that the cards that you're setting, you can either abuse these once per turn cards that are coming out in your opponent's end phases to the point where you're basically activating two per turn because it's so close to each other and it's very hard to do anything to react anyway in the end phase. So just don't go willy-nilly like activating like all these power cards and just only using them once per turn, make sure that you're playing them very smart. You want to set some of this stuff down if you can to activate in the end phase, so you can basically abuse either another copy or search for another copy or add the one that you used to your hand. Like the new card, I think it was something scrap or not scrap dragon. It's a new dragon coming out where if you banish it, or if it gets sent to the graveyard, you can banish a card from your opponent's hand, and it only activates once per turn. You can abuse something like that with once per turn to the point where you're just constantly banishing in their end phase, and then when you activate, you can banish it again. Just to select more cards to like look through their hand and banish a few cards in their hand. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you have any more suggestions for me, I am more than willing to do a few other videos that you might do. I can do this. I can also show my Blue Eyes Maiden deck profile that I've been playtesting. It's been doing very well. So just let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you later, Space Cowboys.